Okay. So, with Vidrid here, stuck to a chair.
I'm actually going to note him down as well.
Yeah, I already did. Actually, I should add stuck to chair.
What is the plan? There's still the packet of Aether Crystal on the table.
Yeah, I'm just gonna like grab that, like slide across the table. I'm not stealing this. I just don't have the money on me right now, but I will have it with you later. Thank you. Let's go.
I love you.
Rakath is already out the door.
You guys would have already left, I imagine. But the question is, where are you going now? You have a list of addresses, if you want to, and they're all in the same kind of area, which is, nearby. I kind of imagine it, on like the area of towers you're in. It's kind of like round the other side and down a bit, so it's nearby.
I say we go investigate. May as well. I think we should start at the shop of the herbalist, and then go to these areas.
Agreed.
Okay.
I would like to see the equipment either way, whatever's left of it.
Agreed.
The area you go through is very pretty street. Most of the time buildings are built, the roads are almost built around the buildings, but this is one of the, different cases where there are buildings on each side of this street. Considering it is the dry season, this area, which has a lot of flower shops and similar stalls, is looking a little sad. There are, the occasional wilted flowers in the stalls. Some people are selling, fertilizers that will keep your flowers in bloom all year round and stuff like that. You imagine if you come by in a different part of the year where things are growing, it would be very pretty. But it's not. Same can be said for the herbalist's little house. Similar to the mask shop, it's kind of a one-room-ish boutique, but it seems to be that, this person probably lived on the second floor. It's almost like a little cottage. But quite evidently, it's been smashed up. While the front of the building looks fine, you walk around into the side, one of the doors and the area around the door has been smashed in. Some of the brickwork and the kind of the framework, which I said there's wood is very rare. There is still fungal wood. It's just not one of the core materials you would use all the time. It's not like RimWorld where you're building everything out of wood. Nah. Right. It is used. Yeah, it was used as like a decorative frame, and it's smashed up. And fungal wood is not as strong as regular wood for building, anyway.
More fibrous.
More nutritious though. If you're real hungry, chew on the furniture.
Question for you.
Yes.
Does it look like this was smashed in from the outside or from the inside?
Investigation check. The outside is, a fairly comfortable sized alley, actually. Smashed in from the outside. Very, very, very obviously. By seemingly multiple creatures that are quite strong, kind of barging into it. Whether it was done using, a big key or whatever is kind of hard to tell, because the door is kind of shattered on the inside, and then you can just walk through into that one room middle where all the plants that might have been taken care of before, they're all dried and wilted. There is shattered glass and wood all the way to, there's literally a trail of debris and chaos to a main desk and a main table where there's quite a bit of space cleared away, where something has quite clearly been removed, and there's scrape marks and stuff because it must have been heavy. Not a delicate cat burglary job.
Someone was not exactly cautious. They either wanted to make it look like they needed to break in, or actually needed to break in. Wouldn't that be a novel concept? We should take some of these plants and bring them down to our herbalist friend in the dungeon. I think I want to keep a pet.
Oh, I would love to keep these plants. I don't know if it's allowed though.
In the dungeon?
Well, I don't want to steal from this person, right?
Well,
I mean, this is property.
Isn't this place owned by your family?
Right. I don't want to steal from my family.
more what I'm suggesting is that we bring the plants into the dungeon downstairs so that she can continue to take care of them and perhaps work for your family
Good
out
idea.
of the dungeon.
Can you all
That
make
was
me
a
perception
wonderful
checks,
idea.
please?
I was going to ask if I could make one anyway, so that works.
I was going to set alarm before we came in, and I forgot about it.
Oh, no.
Whoa!
During
Damn.
this, you notice a noise from upstairs, like a sharp, repeating noise, and you realize it's a bird. You can hear a bird upstairs, a small songbird or something. Probably in a cage. But, there's no owner at the moment.
Oh, I think, speaking of pets, I think she might have had one. Do you hear that?
Do I hear that? gotta succeed.
when she points it out, yeah.
Okay.
But there are birds that live in this area as well. So whether you
Right.
really noticed it, but now you can place it.
I'll kind of shrug and say, "Oh, elven ears."
Ah, yes. These, don't really do so well for hearing. A little bit too pustulant.
I'm sure we could make something for that.
They're hairy too. He's got
Perhaps one
hairy
day.
ears.
No, there's no hair. It's just lumps. They look like hair.
The description said there was hairy ears.
He is a completely hairless individual, sir.
Oh, okay.
Completely hairless. It's the opposite. It's even the hairs
Retcon.
don't have. Yeah, no, he's completely hairless. But he also, they're gross. There is definitely wax that looks like hair.
Ugh.
Yeah.
I guess, that makes sense. The Underdark, we got lots of things that look like trees and plants and stuff. So, you know what?
Yeah.
Parallelism or whatever.
Yeah, sure. Well, why don't we go check on this pet? And while you do that, why don't you go? Or, well, Torum, either one. But one of you stay down here with me and one go up with Yuna. I'd like to investigate.
I would also like to look at the wares here because, as you said, they are into my family. I don't want to steal from them, but if there's anything useful, I might want to take it. So, Torm, could you please go feed the little bird for me?
Yes, I can do that. And he'll start making his way up.
Torum,
Thank you,
can
dear.
you make me a dexterity save, please?
Oh, okay.
Glad we had you do this.
Yeah, I was about to say, yeah.
The
wasn't expecting it.
stairs on the way up creak very heavily underfoot Torum.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
One of them kind of cracks a little bit. Because
Kinda
Torum
has to consciously
is
hide.
lighter than you think.
Yeah.
But
Still
this place is
heavy.
also it's damaged and kind of some of the shittiness was probably before the break-in. When you actually get upstairs, don't think the break-in happened up here, but it's still a mess. The cage, there's a very pretty cage where this bird lives, and I say bird in a general sense because it's the Underdark. There's a lot of more stranger things. This little songbird is small, gold of feather. In some places it's more scaly and actually does have little horns. And it's quite ragged and hops around, chirping heavily when Torum kind of walks in.
Can I look around to see if there's anything that looks remotely like
Yeah.
food for it? Or actually, you know what? I have rations. I usually have rations just in case anyone needs them. Tom will actually pull out a ration and throw it on the ground.
Like oats and things and kind of put it in the
Yeah.
inside of its cage and it will just start eating.
He'll sort of look at it curiously while it's eating and just, hello.
It does actually kind of chirp back a little bit. Any
is-
investigations anyone wants to do downstairs, feel free to do that while this is happening. What else you want to do, Mr. Torum?
I was gonna say, if the cage is big enough, I could pick it up and bring it back down.
Yeah, it's like a bird cage, so it's like it's a sort of 1-2 hand job, but you can carry it around. Yeah, you can bring it down.
I like the idea of him holding it like this. In front of
Yeah,
him.
very carefully,
Yeah.
carefully, slowly down the stairs.
Voss, would you care to help me look at the area where the missing equipment is and the like? And you can of course take a look around for whatever you're looking for.
Of course. And I'm gonna cast finding around the place. I'm actually interested in just what was being made here, what was created, what was left, anything of interest left behind, and I can cast Encantrip multiple times.
Yeah. It's
Maybe.
absolutely. I was just checking your investigation modifier real quick. It's not great, but it's like the rogue thing where it's the take 10. Always gives you a kind of okay investigation check.
It's a +2. It's not bad.
No,
it's
like
level
a 12 at level 1 is more than enough. So really going around, it's a weird mixture, you know. As a shop, you imagine this probably wouldn't be very successful because it's kind of, it's selling flowers, but there's like houses specializing in selling flowers further away, selling some potions, but there's other people who sell potions. The potions that are actually made here are very much of the herb type, but through the notes and things, there's, quite well kept notes where it kind of mixes on a bit more of the mysticism and the arcane side of this kind of herbalism. Because in the Underdark, those two types of potion making are much more mixed together. Or on the surface, it's like you're either using herbs or magic. Here, everything's kind of jumbled.
I do have the ability to craft healing potions. Is there anything in here that I could find that would aid at that would help it? Anyway.
That's a good question, and I like that realm of logic as well. Absolutely, funnily enough, Blue Lady, the plant most commonly used for healing potions, does grow down here. That actually wouldn't help your healing potions, because that makes regular healing potions. To make stronger things, anything here you don't immediately recognize as what would do that. But something you immediately notice is that some of this stuff is kind of, if it wasn't dead, right? If some of these plants, if they were maintained properly, which seemingly they were before, would have been pretty expensive, and they weren't stolen. I could totally see you, though, taking, handfuls of the dried leaves and flowers and things just for future usage and studying. Learn a bit more about
as many
this side of the world.
seeds as possible.
Yeah, exactly. I can totally see you doing that while you're looking. Mr. Rakath, what were you looking for in particular?
I'm looking over the actual site of where the machine was that it is no longer. And looking at that whole area and figuring out what happened. I am doing the LA Noir go through and look at each individual thing, turn it over, each and every way until I find...
I love that.
Yeah.
Doubt.
Yeah.
Hold on. This angle's making it shake.
Red Dead has that as well. It's great. But in Red Dead, it's always a flip.
Yeah.
The obvious thing, which I mentioned before, is that first of all, there's actually dust from where this thing sat. To say it would have taken a crew to carry doesn't seem completely accurate based on the size of it. It's maybe 1.5 feet in length and less of that in width. But kind of given the space cleared around it, it was probably quite tall. And more probably quite heavy. So there's kind of a drag mark on the stone table here that shows that. But what you notice is several other things. Plants that are kind of knocked over carelessly leave some dirt on the ground. And in the dirt, the marks that are left they're not footprints or shoe prints, they're kind of claw prints of a kind of long clawed foot. And as well as that, there's kind of claw scrapes. Whatever creatures kind of drag the thing away. And in those scrapes on the stone, because it's kind of a soft, low-quality stone that this desk is made of, is a little bit of blood. But I'm fairly sure the herbalist said, they weren't kind of here for the attack, or specifically. And she isn't injured, which you would have noticed. So it's not their blood. And there's no blood anywhere else in this building. There's not the sign of anyone being killed.
And would it be a medicine check to try and determine if it's
whose blood it is?
blood?
Yeah, you get out like a little pipette and you kind of take the sample. Yeah, that's a medicine check, absolutely.
No way he wouldn't know creature's blood.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's such a small amount, it's hard to tell.
And could I, the claws, could I do a nature check to determine?
Yeah.
All right. That's better.
There's a lot of clawed creatures. It makes you think of the claws of a troglodyte, which are a underdark creature that is a humanoid, sort of newty, salamandery lizard thing. Whereas most underdark creatures don't like sunlight and natural light. Troglodytes are even worse than that, and there are rumors of some living in sewer systems and places like the bog slums and stuff. But where the blood mixes in is that they are ravenous creatures. They devour flesh in all forms. They only eat meat, but they don't care if it's rotten, they don't care what it's from, and they will eat nearly anything. And with that check being so good, you know that some smart people can ply troglodytes with feeding. They're not incredibly stupid, They can be tricked and commanded with regular food.
Would I know of anybody in the city who would have already dabbled in such dealings through my...
Ask if I could roll a history check.
That's a history check, yeah. Both of you can do that,
All right.
Much better.
Because Rakath knows everything, you remember hearing some rumors that there was an alchemist guild that would make people disappear? But the rumors as well as the fact that Vidrid just told you that, but Vidrid told you that there was, a group of heavies who would do this kind of thing that he never met, which could be troglodytes. Really, that would kind of fit. There are rumors about House Abadar, particularly this kind of mafia-esque, protection money scheme, but that they don't have any kind of enforcers or anything. You never see them. Troglodytes are pretty stealthy creatures. They're very adept at using tunnels to move around the city and stuff. So it would kind of make sense.
Well... Yuna, did you find anything useful?
Oh, so many seeds and plants that really should have been taken care of before now.
Yes. Shame, those ones. Perhaps we can salvage some of the soil and some of the pots so we can bring them back and reseed.
What a wonderful idea. I'd almost like to get my own little,
You absolutely should. If you've managed to gather multiple seeds, we could perhaps...
And, you should ask our alchemist friend in the dungeons. I'd just like to know how to take care of them on my own.
Absolutely. I mean, out of curiosity, do they have any, lighting set up for these plants?
Some
I
of
was
them,
wondering
yeah.
that as well. Yeah.
Some of them,
Yeah.
yeah. But Yuna would know. In particular, if you want to make your own, you could use aether crystals. You should use aether crystals. If you wanted it to get actual accurate light, it'd be aether crystals. Now, the thing is with plants in the Underdark, very few of them rely on light specifically, because they just can't. Most of them rely on kind of ley lines, and the soil and ambient magic and stuff. But there is a little bit of a light setup.
So, here's an idea. So, I use a component pouch right? Which has everything in it that I need to cast spells.
Yeah.
And one of the components for the spells that I have are glowworms. So do I have access to glowworms, and would that be sufficient to keep a little garden alive?
Glowworms would, that would be like a level 1 garden. How it literally works is that I actually have a homebrew thing I use for like running your own household. So there is an amount of money which I think ends up being around 1,000 gold to have a proper garden built. But you can make a ramshackle glowworm garden using some stuff from here that you give to Torin for now, and then build on it slowly. Absolutely. I'm actually looking up some of my the plants that exist in Jarviskjir for what you should have. Blue Lady would obviously be one of them, which is the healing potion thing. For actually making potions via herbalism, I'm just going to say you straight up know this, because this is kind of your business. Potions, when you make it purely out of herbalism, require a herb and a catalyst and water. So Blue Lady is the healing potions herb. For other things like catalyst, that is an aphrodisiac. Not necessary right now. Definitely would be in sale here. Drows sell a lot of aphrodisiacs. Wyvern's tongue. It's a dark red flower. That's the catalyst that you would find here. So you can get, enough to get those two, definitely, because they're quite common in your little garden. And then it'd be like, either pay some Oli coins or wait a week, and then they'll grow. Or...
Right. What I suggest, Lady Yuna, is that we make this out to be a simple extraction of goods from a property that is no longer in use for House Tabeskos. We don't make on that we are investigating anything, lest House Abadar be watching. As I believe it was them who carried this out, with the help of some troglodytes, based on the claw marks there. And so I would suggest that we, of course, set up to carry these items out and make it look as though we are reacquiring equipment for the house. So perhaps we should send for some extra hands and a cart to help bring some supplies back so that we do not appear suspicious, or that we are not, well, appearing to have suspicion, as it were.
That is a wonderful idea.
You want to go, hey servants, bring back stuff to the house. Yeah, absolutely fine. I could imagine that your house has a little bit of a storage wagon. It would be in the basement. So absolutely they can start trucking off.
So when you say I have quarters in my house, does that mean I have multiple rooms to use?
I would imagine it is just one very large room. Which
could I get another room?
There's not right now. Basically, you're going to need enough money to buy the floors above and below. And I also have explained, I will do this at some point, like a floor plan. But you have, you and your brother have both very large rooms. You were in your brother's room. It's, Drow don't, it's not really a bedroom, it's more, a private chamber. You could set up this level 1 in, like, using a side wall of your room. I'm kind of imagining that. The upper floor is
that
all your mother's.
Alchemist and move her into my room and have her start the garden up there.
That's absolutely fine. You would just need other rooms, but basically the most floor space in your house is your mother's chambers, but they're locked.
Yeah, she's still alive.
Yeah, you're literally just waiting for her to die.
Yeah.
Give it time. You could always capture her soul.
One day, but not now.
Make her live forever.
Make her being the operative word.
Carefully chosen.
So what I might do is I might just section off like a full corner of my room, and just fill it with dirt, and just have the alchemist live there.
Instead of using flower pots, just make like a plantation.
That was my idea. Yeah.
Yeah, that's also totally fair. Yeah. If you want to do that, that's absolutely fine. Yeah.
But I really like the idea of my brother walking into just a room and having it just be like taken up with dirt.
Yeah. It'll still happen. It will just be like in your room. It's just like, oh,
Right, exactly.
there's dirt.
I like the idea that the first time he sees, he just walks in, looks at it, walks out.
Yeah,
Fucking-
probably.
Oh no.
That's gonna be what happens when the servants come back with a bunch of like dirt and flower pots and dead plants.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to move it all to my room.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna like literally down the middle, like split my room in half and have like half of it just be the garden.
Fair. It's too much space anyway, you know.
Yeah. I'm
Feng
not using
shui.
all
Set up a curtain.
A nice
Okay.
little cage for our alchemist friend.
And
I'm sure we've got a portable cage in the dungeon.
no, you don't.
Come on, I can make one.
that. You could make one, but it's expensive.
Yeah.
And what are you gonna do about the bird?
Oh, we're definitely taking the bird with us. What kind of question is that?
Oh, I mean, I guess you would keep it in Yuna's room if the herbalist is going to be
Yeah.
living there.
Yeah.
Cool,
If
yeah,
it's
fair.
annoying, we'll put it in the dungeon. Like,
Yeah. And Rakath will have a friend.
Now that the bird has eaten, it's a bit quieter. So it's not a constant annoying tweeting noise.
Torm every now and then does that thing where he puts the finger through the thing and tries to pat it. He's not going to open the door, but he's like trying to give it scritches.
Okay. It takes a bit of a while for everything to get ferried back by the servants. They can start setting so. He's like, oh, where do you want this? Oh, just the floor there. Yeah, this corner. They will start.
I imagine that they would have had like areas to like stuff to make planters with in the.
They are going to properly do it.
Good. Okay, I'm glad they're not just
I'm
dumping the
mostly
soil on the floor.
memeing.
we'll
but-
bring up the alchemist and have her set it up the way she wants it.
Yeah, feel free.
Mhm.
I'll say this is your space.
Okay. That is. Will I have a salary?
No, not yet.
No.
What are we paying you for?
Like the best response to that question ever.
But you have room and board. You'll get to do what I do and stay here.
I used to have I have a house.
Not anymore.
Pay for? Or
What was that?
What's the address of your house? And Rakath is gonna hand her a piece of parchment and a pen.
It's the house you just
yeah.
took all this stuff from.
Never mind.
So my question was, were we paying
We'll
you
just sell
before?
She will start explaining. This was she didn't actually work for your house. It was a one-time job.
She does now.
So she was paid for it. But no, she is of no house. Her name is just Kim. She doesn't have a last name. She's of no house.
Kim, we shall talk to my brother and see what we can do for you. But for now, you can live here and work here.
You see, it's not safe back at your house. There were
Persuasion check.
troglodytes. I mean, she doesn't have a choice. She's staying here one way.
No, I know. It's just whether she's happy about it or not. She seems to accept that, and she will start working with the servants to do this. There is a moment when this is kind of happening, and Nero, head servant, will look to you and be like, "Are you sure you want to take up so much of your personal space with this venture, mistress?"
Temporary.
Oh, Yuna, if you need more space, there's always room in the dungeon for you to do more experiments and the like. I do find your work fascinating, so you're always welcome down there.
Oh, thank you.
And Nero, if you're interested in them as well, you're of course more than welcome.
If that
to
is
join.
something that you would wish, a arcane workspace down in the dungeons that could be easily acquired.
I leave it at Lady Yuna's discretion.
I look at like Kim's face as we're talking about setting up in the dungeons to see how she's reacting to that.
Well, she's still here. So she's kind of like off in her own. She's an old elf. She's kind of off in her own world right now, planting seeds. We'll see. It could be something that could be set up later. And they will start doing so. Of course, at one point, your brother does walk in and just watch all of this. And then he will turn to Rakath and say, "So we're keeping her."
Better to keep someone you don't trust. right by
Oh.
your side.
And can we pay her?
That was not my suggestion.
How much pay?
Oh, he's like trying to be real cool, and she says that. It's like, God damn it.
Now,
perhaps
what I will
might give her a pittance. Depending if
Kim,
she
what do you get
serves.
paid?
Oh, she's a what's it? A skilled hireling. That's like 2 gold a day. She ain't getting that.
Getting that bread.
She ain't getting
Minus
that at
room
all.
and board.
Yeah, she might get a few copper a day.
Yeah, that's good enough.
Maybe like 5, which is actually adds up pretty comfortably.
especially
all things
with room
considered.
and board.
It's more than the servants. The servants don't get anything. Rakat don't get anything. So it's it's enough. She gets paid.
Rakath
He doesn't have a choice.
Yeah.
Rakath will actually motion to Draco to step out of the room, and he will step out. And will stand.
He will step
with
out
his
the room, kind of look to Torum, walk a little bit away, off into like the open hallway at the front of the building.
We believe House Abadar was behind the theft, based on the fact that troglodytes stole the device, and they are known to be able to be trained, and Abadar has been acting as a mafia base for some time without any enforcers, which is curious. But troglodytes are swift and silent and keep to the sewers, wouldn't be seen, could easily get between the locations, and could very easily act as that exact force for Abadar. I have more leads that I'd like to check out after we glued someone to a chair back at the cafe. But, Vidir Abadar, I believe. Although
I do not care of the name of one you
Vidrid.
tortured.
More what I would suggest is that we might want to keep an eye on him. He may still be at the cafe. That adhesive was quite strong.
I expect you to keep an eye on all enemies of our house.
Precisely. What I would indicate is that he gave us some locations before I departed. I'd like to go and take leave to investigate those as well.
I suggest that you do. And, if it is necessary for you to sneak into House Abadar and relieve them of their stolen goods, that would be agreeable.
Oh, that sounds wonderful.
And he will just kind of go back off to his office.
Rakath will bow as he leaves, very slightly. He can't really bend too well with the big hunch that he's got, but he does his
Absolutely.
best.
All right. You gonna go? You bringing the party? Gonna go investigating some buildings?
Oh, I'm not going on my own.
I'd hope not.
Not
Okay.
when there are troglodytes out. That sounds dangerous.
What? So of the buildings, most of them are on that sort of street. One of them is the house, building. Would that be the one you want to look into first, or poke around the others first of all?
Others first.
Okay.
The intention is to go and shop,
Yeah.
not to raise any suspicion of any kind, just to go and have a look around, make sure that I am being inconspicuous as Rakath can be. I'm going to go in and essentially, just so you're aware of what I'm doing for each of these, I'm going in and I'm going to pretend to be quite diseased and ill and look for a cure for my lumps.
Oh.
And while we're kind of around this area, I'll just be keeping an eye out, looking for anything that looks like it isn't not a troglodyte, but also just like people watching us. that kind of thing.
So this can be either insight or perception checks for you lot. Everyone might as well do one because you're kind of all shopping together. I imagine you probably don't all go in the same shop at once. You know, you can split into groups of 2.
Yeah, I'm a little preoccupied.
Yeah,
I'm trying.
Rakath is getting really into the role, is the problem.
He's an actor.
With Torum, the problem is he writes down everyone. He just doesn't know which ones matter. Little list of all the people he saw, like paying attention.
Yeah,
or anything.
That's great. Of this street, you know, there are all flower shops and herbalists and potion makers and things. And you start to get the impression, Voss, as you visit them, that especially when you walk in as an enforcer of the laws of the land, there is tension. It is quite clear that, you know, these businesses pay protection money to House Abadar, and it is, you know, out of fear. What you imagine is that with one building getting quite obviously broken into recently, they're even more careful right now than normal. And of note, very few of these buildings have their own bodyguard. A lot of shops, a lot of buildings have their own personal bodyguards. Members of the house who and usually the people who work in there, they have weapons and that sort of thing. But, you know, it's noticeable. You know, they can't afford a bodyguard because they're paying for protection, but that protection isn't really that's definitely kind of the gist of what you get from this whole area.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'll just kind of at a moment where we're mostly together, or at the very least when I'm close to Yuna, I'll just quietly say, keep an eye open. This place reeks of degeneracy.
If you would like, I can potentially... I'm a bit of an empath myself, and I could feel for people who are not so much afraid, but maybe hopeful by our presence. But I would need time to rest afterwards.
I feel you should do whatever you think is best.
Right, but we will get tea afterwards. That's the important thing.
This is what you wish.
And I will cast Central Motion. And I am... Yes.
It's concentration
After
10
we-
minutes, so you can, you know, hop between a few shops and get a good...
And like I said, I'm looking for somebody who, you know, might be afraid, but also is like hopeful by our presence, maybe who wants to speak.
Yeah! You're looking for a confidential informant.
Exactly.
Yeah, I know the sort.
I did not realize this was going to become a buddy cop show, but I'm really good with it. This is
Me neither, but like, it's what I've wanted. I've been planning a buddy cop show starring most of you for quite some time. This just happened by accident.
yeah, I am completely okay with this becoming an evil buddy cop show.
That's funny. When you come in,
100%.
One of these shops is both a herbalist and a bit of a house of healing. Quite clearly displays some signage to the serpent goddess, which is the aspect of Ivrith of the healing and caring and pregnancy and things like that. And a lot of these herbalist shops do deal with things to assist an elven pregnancy because it lasts 3 years. So you better get some drugs to help with that. Yeah.
So many drugs.
So many.
Oh my god.
And so that's kind of one of the things this house specializes in. And the woman who works here and would kind of show you around when like Rakath comes in and be like, I'm very sick. I would kind of, you know.
Oh, do you have anything for these lumps?
Oh, well, for illnesses of the flesh, an application of silver dust and prayers to the goddess, and we're like, you kind
Let
of
me show you a little bit more.
there's very definite fear, but again, she when she sees both Voss and Torm, because Torm, people don't know what Torm is in the city, but is quite clearly a weapon of some kind. There is that kind of hopefulness, and a little bit of keenness that this might be a bit of a ploy. But yeah, there's a maybe she's been watching you go from street to building, maybe whatever. But she kind of seems to get what's going on a little bit from the sense of motion here.
I will kind of like tug on Voss's like sleeve a little bit, like this is the one.
That visual is just so funny to me. I'll just give you a nod and walk over to. Is Raka still speaking with this person?
Yes, right now she's saying, well, a application of silver dust to the affected areas would cost 15 gold pieces.
Well, that's quite
now,
expensive.
occasionally, donations do come in to accept the infirm, such as yourself.
Well, I am quite sick, but
Can you give me a performance check, please?
Oh my god, I love it.
It's like Raka
Yes,
calling in
of-
sick for work levels.
Yes, of course. We do have more budget acceptable options. It's kind of going through that while you're.
Yeah, I'll just at this point kind of walk over.
Yes,
and
are you
just-
protecting the sick and ailed here?
It falls on me to protect my lady, and I'll kind of motion to you and be like, and the company she keeps.
Rakath does again the as much of a bow as he can, but his hunch is still like almost hitting him in the back of the head as he tries to look up. To,
I don't like that
the eye.
imagery at all.
Well, you let me build.
It doesn't mean I need to like it. It's like half of
true.
Neil's characters.
True.
Half is so nice.
I'll just
Generous on stream.
Round up.
I'll just say to her, my ward seems to think you are someone to be trusted.
She's
Well,
been
all
offering me
things-
some very nice options as far as my ailments.
Protection
think-
comes with trust.
What has been happening here? I sense a very tense atmosphere when I approach many of the other stalls and peddlers of wares in this area.
Can you give me a persuasion check, please?
I can try.
Is that aided by my performance at all?
No. I don't know if you've turned dice on yet, Josiah. I see no dice.
I just saw one roll.
It's just me. I've just had not turned dice on this entire stream for the kids at home. I can tell. Last week I was like, what's this weird visual glitch? Josiah has invisible dice. That's what this weird
Invisible
glitch
dice.
is.
meant to
Change
change
the
that.
color. Change the color. I don't know.
Anyway, she nods and says, yes, there is always such difficulties, and the number of sick that need healing is always growing.
But actually, can I just roll an insight really quickly on her? Just to get a general feel for, like, I know that Yuna's already sensed emotions, but Rakath has no idea about that.
From most of the priestesses of the serpent goddess you've met, they are for Drow, they are genuinely charitable. Love should be extended to all people kind of faith. Now that doesn't extend to all of them, especially those who kind of worship the faith who worship both the faiths, both the usurper queen and the serpent goddess. They're kind of like, yeah, protection through might kind of thing, a little more closed off, but like a herbalist who runs a healing house and worships the serpent goddess, she probably is just a genuinely very caring person to the most of their ability. And probably doesn't like people being upset and hurt.
You have been very kind to me thus far. I appreciate that very much. It seems that kindness is in your nature, in your faith, in your purpose.
Oh,
And it's very welcome.
Some people do not believe that all creatures are under the protection of the goddess. I believe if it were to be otherwise, she would smite me down.
I often wonder if I'm under anyone's guise. I'm not really familiar with who I am. You see, these lumps, unfortunately, have been with me as long as I can remember.
Oh, I thought this was a disguise.
No, unfortunately not. It's just very convenient for that very purpose.
Oh, dear.
Yes, unfortunately, it's unfortunate for everybody. We all have to live with the fact that this is my actual face. What I would ask is that, despite the fact that I am a horribly disgusting individual, that you give us a moment of your time. We have some very important business to try and stop people from hurting those who are helping others. We are looking for, well, to be perfectly honest with you, the recovery of a device that was stolen, and also, hopefully, to put a stop to those people feeling they can do whatever they want with those wretched beasts that they utilize as enforcers. I think you know of who we speak. And I think, out of the kindness of your heart, you would like to see them stop hurting people as well.
I don't believe it is right to claim and own so freely.
I do not understand ownership. I do not even own a name. So, as far as I'm concerned, I think people need to be handled with care. Whatever that may look like.
And why don't we take this here as a time to take a little break?